Hey everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to a Let's Paint a Mini video. Actually today, let's paint 5. I have 5 skeletons here mounted, and these are from the Fantasy Series 1 from Blacklist Games. Most of the monsters in that kit come in 5s, so I've been painting them up little by little, trying to build up my monster minis on a display over here. So today I'm going to tackle the skeletons, and while I do that, I want to chat with you about something, actually a bunch of things. It occurred to me that there's a lot of new games coming out that I'm interested in. There's a lot of games that I have been playing that I've sort of lost interest in. So I figured what I'd do is just chat with you. I've made a list here of some things I want to talk about game-wise while I paint these guys up. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and they're all going to be pretty much identical. I'm not going to be painting these in any kind of unique color. Maybe I will. Maybe the hood will be different. We'll see. So anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about today is I play a lot of games, as those of you know, and some games fall away. Some games come back, with a vengeance. I miss them. Like recently, I've been playing Frostgrave again, just because I hadn't played it in so long. But it's absolutely one of my favorite skirmish war games, and it's one of my first skirmish war games I ever played. So there's a soft spot in my heart for it. So I've returned to it. And then, of course, some games have dropped off. So before I talk about some of the older games, let me talk about some new games that I'm kind of excited that are coming soon. Those of you who know, I used to play, and I probably will return to it at some point, but I played a game called Core Space. Core Space is like a miniature science fiction game. You take on the role of a crew. And it's from a company called, Battle Systems? Yeah, Battle Systems. It's a UK company, and it's a really fun game. I didn't get burned out on it. I got sidetracked and just haven't returned to it, and I need to because it is a fun game. But I wanted to tell you, they have a fantasy version coming out. It's not a fantasy version of Core Space, but it does follow the mechanics of Core Space. So if you're a player of Core Space, a lot of it's going to be identical, and it's called Maladum. I think it's called Maladum, and it's going to be kickstarted, and they just announced the other day, as a matter of fact, that it's going to kickstart in March. Now, I suspect that means it will be at least a year before the game comes out, because it's got to go through manufacturing and all that, and I'm not thrilled about that. Because typically I try not to. Lately, I have not been backing games that take, more than a year to come to fulfillment. And there's always delays. Always. I don't care what any company says. Oh, we'll have it out by this date. No, you won't. I mean, doubtful. We just never know with things like COVID and the shipping issues and stuff. You just never know what's going to happen. So I take it always with a grain of salt. When someone says, oh, it's got a 1 year, fulfillment date, yeah, well, not really. I suspect it will go more than a year. But that said, I am such a fan of Core Space, and I've seen pictures of the Maladum. I've seen pictures of Maladum's terrain and how it's going to play. It's gonna be different because there's magic involved, whereas the Core Space is a sci-fi version. It's got to be different, right? I mean, you're dealing with long range things like bows and arrows, but also magic. So it's gonna be different than Core Space, and I think that it'll be sufficiently unique that it won't feel like you're playing Core Space. I can't say that for a fact, but am I gonna back it? Probably only because now if they have a bunch of Kickstarter exclusives, then possibly. It just depends on what they are. I don't like Kickstarter exclusives. I hate when companies do that because people who miss it and find it later, then they have to deal with a whole bunch of I can't get that anymore, or eBay's charging me $500 for it because it's gouging, and nobody wants to sell theirs. It's pretty bad these days to be a gamer where you like to have everything in a game. The fear of missing out combined with the completionist, which I am. I'm definitely a completionist. So, I don't know. I say that I won't commit at this time to it. I do know that I have a store here in town that frequently buys the retail versions of Kickstarters. They put the money up first, and then I just wait, and if I want it, then I go get it at their store. They don't do it for every Kickstarter, but they are a core space seller, and I've got to think they're probably going to do it. So I'll just make my decision when the time comes. I may ask them, "Are you guys going to do the retail and get And they often get the exclusives and include them in a bundle price that it may be a little higher than what I would pay on the Kickstarter, but I don't have to give Kickstarter my money in advance. I can just use that money throughout the year and then decide later if I want it. But again, it's a pretty cool. Core Space is a pretty cool game. I do like the mechanics of it. I like the miniatures. So I don't know. I may back it. I may not. It just depends on the delivery date. If it's more than a year, if they say it's 16 months or 18 months out, then no, I won't back something that far out. I don't know. It just bugs me. And then if they have a lot of Kickstarter exclusives, that may affect my decision as well. If they have just a couple, then I don't have to worry about, missing too much. I could let that go. But if it's just nothing but Kickstarter exclusives, then you really have to decide, am I a fan of the game and I'm willing to put the money up this early, or am I just going to tell them to, no thank you, cut it out, I'm not doing this. I go back and forth. Like I said, I don't like Kickstarter exclusives at all. I think that if you're gonna give something as a Kickstarter exclusive, you should at least make it available at a higher price after the fact. If it's got to be something that's specially made and it's a one-time thing, I get it. But order enough extra, to put it out in retail for those folks who really want to jump on it and missed the Kickstarter to begin with. All right, I'm off my what do you call it? Lecture. My soapbox. Thank you. Where was I? Maladum is the name of it. You can go to the the battlesystems.co.uk, I believe is their website. You can go there and check out blog posts and more discussion about the game. And I believe that I'm pretty sure, 99% sure there's a Facebook group. I don't think I'm a member of it, but there's already a Facebook group that's been formed where they discuss the game and news that's been released and things like that. And yes, it's possible I'm getting sick. My nose is running and I'm sneezing. So hang on one second. All right. Plus, it's like 20-something degrees here in the basement. Not really. It's more like 40 down here in the basement. But anyway, that was Maladum. The next game is one that really wasn't even on my radar, but somebody emailed me and asked me if I was going to play it, probably because it's from Fantasy Flight, and I do play some of Fantasy Flight's games, including Marvel Champions and Arkham Horror games. But they have a new Star Wars game coming out called Star Wars The Deck Building Game. Honestly, I haven't looked into it. I believe, based on what I heard, that it's a 2-player game. It's just me versus you, and it will be like good versus bad, evil versus rebel, Empire versus rebels, or vice versa if you think that the rebels are the bad guys. Not really my thing. I do like card games, but I'm not big on 2-player card games, 1v1. Just never has really been my thing. I am a Star Wars fan, just like a lot of people, but it just never. I'll tell you this: I bought into Star Wars Legion, and I played it a couple times. It just never really appealed to me. I don't know why. It was a skirmish war game, sort of. I mean, yeah, skirmish in the sense that you didn't have a whole lot of minis. But I just never clicked with me. And so, I don't know. I think I enjoy Star Wars, movies and streaming shows, but not the war game. It just did not really scream at me. So I only mention it because somebody asked me if I was going to be playing it, and the answer would probably be no. But I'll definitely, watch some Let's Play videos and see what people think of it once it comes out. I have no news on it. I don't know when it's coming out. Don't know anything about costs. I don't know how it will work in terms of expansion packs and things like that. I assume, since it's a card game from Fantasy Flight, that they will do their utmost best to monetize it to the point where, everything has a cost and there'll be extras sold and things like that. I mean, I'm not knocking the way they do business. That's the way all companies do business, but it will probably, I hope it doesn't turn out to be like a Destiny. If you ever played Star Wars Destiny, which I did. Star Wars Destiny, that's another thing. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, the way they just abandoned Destiny. My two boys really loved Star Wars Destiny, which was a card game, and it had these really big dice. And I've heard that the dice was the thing that sort of sunk the game, that they were very expensive to manufacture and stuff. But my boys sure did love that game, and they played it against each other a lot. I would play them occasionally, and they'd whip me because I really didn't understand the rules as good as they did. But it was fun, but they were really disappointed when that game got canceled. And it was very short warning. I mean, it was just like, oh, we're canceling Destiny, by the way. If you want to buy anything, now's the chance. And they were bummed, and I get it. That's happened to me with games before, where they just announced that, oh yeah, we're not going to have this game anymore. So Fantasy Flight is pretty reliable in some ways, but that one kind of burned me. But then again, they have a good reputation with other games, like their Arkham Horror games have really continued to flourish. Now maybe that was because they make money. I don't know. Maybe Star Wars Destiny just was not a moneymaker for them because of the cost of those dice. I don't know. But so I can at least take their side and say, well, with the games I play so far, knock on wood, they've been pretty good about continuing support of them. They release updates and new content for them. The one game I do play that they haven't released anything recently for is Mansions of Madness. And a lot of us who play that game, we are a little nervous that Fantasy Flight may be walking away from that game. They haven't released anything new for it. They haven't announced anything new for it. There's just been no news. So it kind of makes those of us who play it a little nervous that game is going to go away. Now, that said, there's a lot of stuff out there for Mansions of Madness. I mean, they've got like 7 or 8 expansions, and each expansion has 4 to 6 games inside it that you can play. And then the app, if you have all the expansions, the app will allow you to mix and match the creatures and the terrain. And I say terrain, it's 2D tiles, to create even new stories. But once they stop supporting Mansions of Madness, I do worry that the app may go unsupported, and then no more games, even like third party. There won't be anything to do with it if they truly let it go. But that's an aside. That's Mansions of Madness. Fantasy Flight has also recently announced that Chapter 2 of the Descent game is coming out. I play Descent. I have played it solo, and it is fun. I debated videoing it and making it available, and now that Chapter 2 is coming out, I think I'm going to go back to it and play it for real and record it. I think I don't think I'll do a lot of videos in that series. I think I'll do enough to show you how the game plays, and then you can decide if you like it. It is a fun game. It's got a lot of elements to it: cards, 3D terrain, just leveling up, increasing your characters, miniatures. It's all there. And I used to play. I didn't own it, but I used to play the previous edition of Descent. I had some friends that sold me the game, and then I gave it back. Well, they gave me the game, and then I gave it back to them. They sold it to me for dirt cheap, and ended up giving it back to them because I just didn't have time to play it. And but it was very cool. But it required a referee, a GM, right? But this new Descent uses the iPad, just like the Mansions of Madness game. It leads you through the adventure, so you can play it solo. You don't need a GM to run the game. So Anyway, it's called Descent Chapter 2, and I don't know any other news on it other than they've just announced that, yes, it's coming soon. And there is quite a following for Descent. There's a lot of people out there that play it. It's got its own Facebook group. I see videos on it still. People like playing it, painting up the miniatures. The miniatures come unpainted, so you can paint them the way you like. And by the way, the miniatures in that game are really unusual, and I say that in a good way. They're very unique sculpts, creatures that you've never seen before, races, just very, very wild builds. And just Google them, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The miniatures for that game are really cool to look at, and they would be fun to play with in any fantasy game as like NPCs or whatever. Even if you don't play the game, those miniatures are pretty cool. So that's called Descent, and it is from Fantasy Flight. Check it out if it sounds of interest to you. So far I've got their boots and their pants painted. I'm just starting at the bottom and moving up. I'm leaving the skull, the bones, the hands, the legs, the midriff, the face. I'm leaving those white because I'll hit them with a dirty wash later to just give it the bone look. They have a shirt which I need to do, and I think for the shirt I'm just gonna go with something not brown. Well, yeah, we'll go with pallid bone. Well, no, pallid bone's what the spikes will be. Let me do camo. That's too dark. I'm going to do this one, Malignant Green. It's sort of a nasty, pukey green. And I think for the shirts and the hoods, it'll do just fine. All right, so those are the games that I've been asked about or that I'm kind of looking forward to, especially the Maladum. And so for the next ones, these are games that I have played, are playing, or plan on playing, or why are you no longer playing this? Let me get to these. All right, so the first one on my list is the D100 Dungeon and D100 Space. I teased those games, and then I pulled the rug out from under you, and I never posted anymore, and I apologize for that. Those games are very fun, and yes, I do have full intent. My intention is to get back to playing them. What I'm planning on doing is over the next few weeks, I'm going to record a whole bunch of them. Like little 10 to 15 minute, I think, snippets. And then I'm just going to release them all at once. The thing about that game is you can really play it in like 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, you pick an objective, you roll the dice, something happens or whatever. 10 to 20 minutes. Let's say 10 to 20 minutes, and that's it. But there's not a lot going on. I mean, it's not a miniatures game. You could turn it into a miniatures game, but it's really it's sort of in your mind, and you're using these tracking sheets for your character and these little tiles for the dungeon or the planet that you're visiting or the space station or whatever. It's very mental, not physical and visual. So I've struggled with how to present that, but I think both games are so cool that I got to get back to them. And I know a lot of you have been asking me if I'm going to do it, and yes, the answer is yes. I do want to play them. Mainly, I really want to get down and deep into them because they're perfect for like portable games. Like when you travel, they are all you got to do is bring the book and some dice, or even a digital dice roller. On a phone or iPad would work. You don't have to have dice. So technically, all you got to do is have the rule book and your character sheet, and you're good to go on those games. And that's one of the reasons I really liked it in the first place was when I travel with my family and stuff, I usually bring books to read and stuff, but I rarely bring any of my war games or my games because they're just they take too much to pack up, right? They're the miniatures, the dice, the terrain. You can't. I don't know many people that travel with that kind of stuff. Maybe you do. If you're going to a convention, sure. But if I'm going on vacation with my kiddos, I'm not really planning on taking my miniatures and my terrain. So I've been looking for games like this that are solo in nature, but that are portable or very low very low in terms of what they require to play. and so far I'm very pleased with them. I just haven't been able to shoot a lot of videos, and I will change that for you guys. I will get that fixed very, very soon. So, and that goes for D100 Space, both of them, D100 Dungeon and D100 Space. I would like to know, if I continue to shoot them, I was interweaving images that I was generating off of Midjourney, just like crazy little weird sci-fi twist things. I know people hate Midjourney. Artists are not very fond of it, but just for generating real quick and dirty little images for something like those videos, just because there's not a lot to shoot. There's nothing for me. There's no miniatures to show you. There's no terrain. So I had to come up with something to sort of entertain the viewer. And it just occurred to me that I was like, oh, I could just create some sci-fi imagery randomly with Midjourney. And, if I've got, I know I have a lot of artist friends, so I apologize. I know that they don't like Midjourney. I try to modify the images as best I can. I try to do some manipulation of them before I use them so that they're not 100%. But anyway, that's I know that that's a debate for another time. I have a very good friend who's an artist, and he was just joking with me. He's like, "Man, you're taking business from me." And I said, "Really?" And he goes, "No, not really. I'm still busy." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "I don't." He even made a point. He said, "You're a writer." He goes, "Aren't you scared about ChatGPT?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Nah, I wouldn't be either." So it's kind of funny. He understands that right now we're sort of in the fear factor of these AI tools, but he didn't seem to be super concerned. He says he's still busy and staying busy. And but anyway, that was just another aside for you there. So that's D100 Dungeon and D100 Space. Core Space. Okay, so I talked about this earlier. Core Space. Yeah, I do want to play Core Space again. I kind of got deep into it, and then I don't know how I got sidetracked, and I kind of lost track of where I was. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to go back and watch those videos just to kind of remember where my crew was and how far along they were. I know I kept track of it somewhere on the character sheets, but some of the pegs that it uses these cards that you insert pegs for skill values and things, and some of those have gotten jostled, and I've forgotten how much power did this guy have, and how much rating did this guy have on this? I can't find it. So I think what I'm going to have to do is go back and watch those videos like you do, and take notes, and just to remember, where my crew was. I don't have a written record of it, and that's my fault. So yes, Core Space, I do have plans to return to it. When, I couldn't tell you. Yes, I do plan on returning to it, but I don't know when. Now, Core Space came out with an expansion that I have not played yet, and I bought it, and I kicked myself for buying it because I have played it with some friends, just watching them play, really, and it just, I don't know, it was a little different, and it seemed harder, seemed much more difficult than standard Core Space. That could have just been me, but I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it. I hate to buy a game and not play it. It's one of my biggest weaknesses, is purchasing a game and then never playing it. I try to remedy that. I try to play everything I buy, and just to make sure it's something that I want to play. And if I don't, then I kick myself again for buying it. But yeah, I do plan on playing the expansion. I just have not gotten around to it yet. All right, so I've almost done with the shirts here. Let's see. Sorry for my phone ringing. I tell my friends and family, if I don't answer and I'm there, I'm probably filming. So try to call back later. So yeah, Core Space, put it down. I definitely want to get back to it. I did enjoy it. I like the setting. I like the mechanics of it. So I do miss playing it, and I do have plans on returning to it. All right, here comes the big one. 5 Leagues from the Borderlands. This one may upset some of you. So I've had a lot of people message me and say, "Hey, you were playing 5 Leagues and you play 5 parsecs, but you haven't posted any 5 Leagues videos." And that is true. I have not. And I'll tell you, I don't know. I kind of got not bored. I just really wasn't enjoying 5 Leagues like I was 5 parsecs. 5 Leagues, in my opinion, it has a lot of bells and whistles, a lot more than 5 parsecs. There's a lot of things going on in that game, or that can be going on behind the scenes, and it's very it can be overwhelming, at least to me. I started out enjoying it, and I still want to play it, but I just discovered that there's a lot of jumping around in the rule book. If you are not a player of it, you may not understand this, but that book, with everything you can do, quests, monster lairs, campsites, hidden new discovery. There's so much going on in that game that you really need to be a master note taker to keep track of everything that could happen in your game. Now, I'm fine with that. I can keep track of a lot of things. I'm not that bad at record keeping. But this was just one game. And honestly, I got a little irritated at the timeline that it took Modifius to get the printed book out to those of us who bought it. I mean, I don't remember how long I waited for that book, but it was a long time. And they had shipping issues. I understand. I get it. They were having shipping issues, and there was nothing to be done about that. But I just got so irritated waiting for it. And in using the PDF on my iPad, I think subconsciously I just was really just, I won't say I dreaded playing the game, but I didn't run to the table. I wasn't like, woohoo, we're going to play, 5 Leagues today. It was like, oh, okay, I'll go shoot a video for 5 Leagues. It was just very, it just wasn't fun. I mean, I hate to say it, but it just was not fun to play without the book. All right, so the book comes along, and I started playing. I was playing again, but I think by that point I was kind of getting burned on 5 Leagues. I just really wasn't enjoying it. Flipping through all the pages. Sorry, somebody was texting me something. Flipping through all the pages, trying to find something, and then having to flip back and then flip. I've heard other people say it, and I'm going to back it up, that the book is not as organized as I wish it was. It's a great game. It's a great game. You can tell that there was a lot of time and energy put into that game. Ivan, I can't remember his last name, but he definitely has created some great games with 5 parsecs and 5 Leagues. I just so happened to find 5 Leagues not as exciting, or at least I don't look forward to playing it like I do 5 parsecs. And I hope that doesn't, I'm not saying that to irritate any of y'all, because I know that there's a lot of people that like to defend games to the death. It's not a knock on the game. It's me personally just saying it's not for me. Now, will I ever play it again? Probably. What I might do is cut out some of the extra stuff. Like with 5 parsecs from home, I don't mess with quests. I just, the game is fun enough without dealing with that part of the game. Now, there are people who probably love playing with the idea of going out on quests. But again, there was just so much going on with 5 parsecs. I just felt like I don't need another activity to monitor or to try to resolve. I chose the initial setting, which was just play 20 rounds. Try to play 20 games, 20 turns, to see if you can survive. And I'm up to number like 18, I believe. And so I'm almost there. The quests would have never completed. I would have never had time in that 20 round thing to do that. So just keep that in mind. If you're playing the game, if you're just playing one-offs or just playing an ongoing campaign, then sure, a quest would make sense because you can do it any time. but I'm sort of under a timeline with mine. I have to get everything done in 20 rounds in order to claim victory, the victory conditions that I initially chose for the game. You can, you can take that as you like. If you're playing the game and you're enjoying it, please keep playing it. Don't stop playing it because I say, oh, yeah. I hope I'm not trying to point out negatives about the game. It was just something I didn't enjoy about the game. There's a lot of games I don't play that I don't enjoy that are played every weekend around the country and everybody loves them, and they're just not for me. So I'm not telling you what to play. You play what works for you and in your gaming group. Let's see, what else? Lasting Tales. So, what am I replacing it with? Well, I did go back to Frostgrave. I told you that. I'm playing Frostgrave again. But Lasting Tales, I do have the PDF, and again, I really want the book, and the book seems to be delayed again. The company that produces Lasting Tales is the one that also releases these miniatures, Blacklist Games, and right now they're not very popular. A lot of people are poo-pooing them on Kickstarter and stuff because there have been lengthy delays in getting miniatures and the game out to backers. A lot of people think it's never going to get fulfilled. I tend to think it will. They did fulfill the miniatures, and they had said they will get the miniatures, and sure enough, they came in about a month ago. Maybe not that long ago, but all of a sudden the miniatures arrived, and I was like, oh, there they are. So I can honestly say that, yeah, they did deliver on that. Now, for the Lasting Tales book, I would really, really like to have it in my hands, but I don't know. I don't know when it's going to happen. But here's the thing about Lasting Tales. Lasting Tales, and I've reread the rulebook recently, it has a campaign. It can be played solo. It's really sort of designed to be played solo. It has a campaign. The activities that you can participate in are sort of already defined in the story, so there's not a lot of flipping around in the thing. There is a pre and post bit of activity. So before your characters go on an adventure, there are some roles and things that will happen before the battle and after the battle. It's very similar to 5 Parsecs and 5 Leagues. It's just not as crazy complicated. The things you can do are typically limited based on the size of the town or village that you're in. You get like one activity or 2 activities if you're in a town or a city, and those activities are usually just, learn a new spell or buy a magic, like sell an item or something. It's not anything that's going to take away from the battle. The battle is where the meat of the game should be. And just to go back to 5 Leagues, 5 Leagues often felt like the pre and post battle stuff was just as dense as the battle, if not more. And I want the battle to be the focus of the game, and I want the out-of-game stuff to I want it to be fun, but I don't want it to overwhelm me. And so that's why I sort of walked away from 5 Leagues, and I'm looking now at Lasting Tales, because it does have that. It has that feel of complexity, simple complexity. That's not even a word. It's what happens before the battle is not complex. What happens after the battle is not complex. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. So again, when will I be shooting videos of Lasting Tales? I'm trying to get that figured out on the schedule. Right now, I've left myself some days open. On Mondays, I've been posting videos related to the mythos, Cthulhu, Arkham Horror, that kind of stuff. And I post as much as I can on a Monday, and then Wednesday is what I call Indie Wednesday, and it's my intention on Wednesdays is to play some of the smaller skirmish games like Stargrave, Frostgrave, those kind of things. They're independent publishers, not the big name publishers. And so far, that Wednesday has been the day that hasn't been filled up. Friday is Frostgrave Friday, and I have been for the past 4 or 5 weeks putting out consistent Frostgrave content My fans like it. People are telling me that they want me to keep going. So as soon as I finish the core book scenarios, I'll be moving on to the expansions. And Frostgrave has, like, I don't know, 8, 9 expansion books now, all with scenarios in them. So there's no shortage of scenarios at this point that I have to worry about running out of things to play. And that's good news for Frostgrave. Same goes for Stargrave. I think Joseph McCullough, the author, is now out. Like the 4th expansion for Stargrave has just been announced. I think I saw it up on Amazon recently for pre-orders. So that's a good thing right there, is that there does not seem to be a shortage of content for Stargrave either. What I'm doing now is I'm painting the pommel of the sword and the actual sword itself. So I'm just going all the way around, and the shield. Each skeleton is holding a shield that I'm painting, and just trying to do this sort of assembly line, right? You know, where everything gets painted on the same, and then you go on to something else, and I lose track of where I am sometimes. So yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays are definitely a possibility. The D100 Dungeon and D100 Space, those are the days I'm thinking about, Tuesdays, for putting out new content related to those games. I may do one episode of each, on Tuesdays, or I may make it Thursdays. I'll just have to figure it out. But again, my plan is to shoot about, I don't know, 10. I mean, I'd love to shoot 10 or more episodes of each one, and then just bank them and schedule them so that they can play every Tuesday or Thursday, and then I don't have to worry about shooting one every week. Because again, those are 2 games that when I sit down, I'd rather just play like a whole bunch of scenarios in it, like 5 or however many time permits, and not just do one, which I was doing just one at a time, and I was trying to figure out what I didn't like, and that's what it was. I didn't like that, you know, I wanted to do more, but time-wise, I was like, well, I got to get a video out for this, and I got to get another video out for that. And so I was just sort of running out of time. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually try my best to just shoot a bunch ahead of time, and then come back in a week or 2 and shoot more, you know, or like a few weeks, right? Try to stay ahead of it. All right. The paint is starting to bleed a little bit, so I don't want it to do that anymore. I want to paint the insides of the shields, but the paint is still wet, so I can't really do that. I guess what I can do is paint the bases, and then I'm going to let the water dry, or the paint dry, and I'll finish these a little later. So anyway, what I'm going to do to close this video out is I'm going to paint the bases black on all 5 of them. Now, I guess I wasn't going to bring this up, but I guess I'm going to bring it up because I debated it. So I have had some comments from people who are like, you know, I joined your channel because you were playing this game and now you're no longer playing it, so I'm not sure I want to stick around. And they're almost apologetic, and I'm like, that's okay. I mean, you know, if my channel doesn't have what you want to watch, you don't have to subscribe or don't have to stick around. I play games that I enjoy, and when a game becomes tiresome to me, or if I just don't enjoy playing it at the time, I go on to something else. And I realize that that doesn't feed the YouTube algorithm. I don't care about the YouTube algorithm. If I did, I would probably be doing different. I might be doing Warhammer, right? I mean, if I really, really wanted to feed the what do they call it, the algorithm and get a lot of views and stuff, I just switch over and play Warhammer 40K, right? I mean, that's where all the channels that make big numbers and viewers and stuff. But I don't play Warhammer, and I don't want to play Warhammer. I play the games I want to play, and traditionally, my background is a technical writer. I share things that I make, I share things that I do, and I share them in the sense that maybe somebody out there will see something I do or make or play, and they'll want to play it too. I'm not going for numbers. I'm not going for views or subscriber numbers. I don't even know. I mean, I really seriously, I don't check things like that. I couldn't tell you how many subscribers I have to this channel. I don't know. I mean, that may be bad. Somebody may be saying, "Oh, that's awful, man. You should always," but I don't. I don't track things like that. What I do is I enjoy my hobby. I shoot videos like this and videos where I'm playing games. I shoot them. I do a bit of light editing, create a thumbnail, and I upload them, and I move on. And so, if somebody is mad or not happy that I'm no longer playing a certain game, all I can say is, just wait around. I'll probably get back to it, but I can't promise that. I don't know. And I say this only because I did have an email about 5 leagues. Somebody messaged me and said, you put all these videos up of 5 leagues and then you just stopped and left us hanging. I'm like, well, go play the game yourself, man. I get that some people like to watch people play games, and I like to watch people play games. But, if I'm not playing 5 leagues and that's what you want to see, well, there are other people that are putting up 5 leagues videos. And if they're not, maybe that tells you something. Maybe you need to do it. Or maybe there's just not, maybe people aren't playing it anymore. I don't know. All I can say is, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, I'm just saying I created my channel to share my hobbies, share the things I like to do, the things I like to make. And, I'm not looking for numbers. I'm not looking to make money off of this. So if I were, then I would say, okay, which games do you guys want me to play? And those would be the games I played. And it might just be 1 game. It might be 2 games. But my channel allows me to jump around. I can paint paint miniatures. I can play this game for a little while, and then I can go play that game for a little while and come back. And so that's how I do. And I realize that may not be ideal for my viewers who want to keep watching me play one particular game. But all I can say is just hang tight. A lot of times I do come back to a game that I gave up or got tired of. And sometimes I just get in the mood to play a certain game and I'll do it. But if you're interested in creating a YouTube channel for yourself, you can do it my way, which is just make it your channel and make it what you want. and of course, if you do, you can't really worry about numbers and things, because that's not how YouTube channels grow into the 100,000 or million viewers or whatever. You've got to stay pretty focused on like one thing, because that's what people come to depend on you for. If you do your channel like mine, your numbers aren't going to grow, but you're going to have that freedom to sort of come and go and do as you please, because again, it's your channel. But if you want to do something for money, for a specific game or a specific audience, it's no longer your channel. It's the audience, because once you start making money on it, or once you really dive into it, you can enjoy it, but sometimes this becomes a job, right? I mean, you have the editing and all that good stuff that goes along with videos, and just keep that in mind, that if you're doing this for a living or to make extra income, you're going to have to focus, and you're going to have to really grow that channel to a large audience in order to start seeing really any kind of noticeable income from it. And then again, it becomes a job, and it becomes something that you better really enjoy doing, or at least be able to continue doing week to week to week to week, because if there's ever a lull, you will lose audience members, and your channel will sort of, be replaced by something else that's delivering what the audience wants. Anyway, off my soapbox. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me as I got started on these skeletons. I will take some post pictures of them and post them with this video once I get them done. I need there's a lot of wet areas down in the recesses that need to dry before I can get down in there and hit them with some of the other colors. But so far they look pretty cool, and they're They're all identical, but they're skeletons, and there's 5 of them that I can throw on the table when I need skeletons. All right, this is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me as I paint a bunch of minis. I'll be back very soon with another set of minis, 1, 2, 10, who knows. I'll be back to paint some more. Join me then, and until then, everybody, take care.